Good morning from beautiful, it's a wee bit chilly, Brisbane this morning. How are you? It's wonderful to be with you on this beautiful Monday morning. I hope you've had a great 2 days over the weekend, having some fun, being curious, being playful, enjoying yourself, no matter how much your internal system's screaming, hide, hide. Remember, it's like that old Will Robinson, actually, I must remember to look up the name of that show. If anyone can remember, remind me, the Space Family where they were all in outer space. It was like really old in the 70s, and, the robot would go, Danger, Will Robinson. And now I've completely forgot what I was going to talk to you about. Good morning, ladies. It's so wonderful to have you here this morning. And welcome back, Brooke. We really missed you, honey. Say good morning to everyone. Oh, girls, I just found this unbelievable feature for this program that I use. Let's see if I can manage to get it right. Let me show you. Here we go. Look. Ali says, good morning, everyone. I can now do this so that we can share conversation with each other as well. So while everyone's busy saying good morning to each other from around the world, it's great to have you here. We have Australia and Ireland and the USA represented this morning. So let's rock this. This morning, I want to share some information with you about our inner critic, because it's a pretty big part of trauma. And also, it's going to be an inner critic checklist, but we're also going to go through how we can begin not just only recognizing it, but what are we going to do when we actually recognize it. There's 7 inner critics. Now, a lady in our group shared this yesterday, but what I did was, if I can just get this to move around for you, is I put it in a beautiful infographic, which everyone on their phone can't read at the moment. So I've got it as a big checklist. I'll put it in the ebook at the end of the week. And I'm sorry last week's ebook's running late, but it's because I'm adding extra infographics with extra information to help explain what happens for us internally. And it was this amazing awareness, or like it was this whole revelation that I had last Friday, I think. I'm going to gym. I'm going to do the trauma-informed movement when I get home, which is, normally what I do. And then on the way home, I was like, I don't want to say, no, I won't say that. I want to say the voice in my head, but it was me, but I didn't recognize why I was talking to myself this way. And all the way home, it's all this negativity about, don't do the trauma-informed movement and all the reasons why I shouldn't do it. I've got this to do, that to do, and everything. And when these were automatic thoughts, and I've done a video on what automatic thoughts are about. And I was like, why would my automatic thoughts be negative? And why, when I know, because I've done it for long enough now, when I know how much this benefits me, like internally, like gives me more focus, gives me the ability to stay on track, and love my life and get my muscles in my body relaxed, I was like, why would I be having this dreadful response to doing something that I know overall benefits me? And I didn't sit there, obviously I was driving home, but as I was driving home, I was like, okay, automatic thoughts, but why would this be happening? And what's the impact of it? And as I looked over the previous 4 days, which I became aware for 4 days I was in this space of having been triggered into the abandonment depression, which we discussed last week, I sat there and I went, oh my goodness, this makes so much sense why the automatic thoughts happen when we get triggered into that depression. It makes, sorry, I just read a comment and I'm laughing. It makes so much sense that when we get triggered into the abandonment depression, that we would start having automatic thoughts that came about, so that originated in our childhood, because that's how we were wired in our childhood, to have these negatively impacting thoughts to keep us safe. And I went, oh my goodness, I have to put this in an infographic, because once we see it and we understand it, then we're going to go, right, now I can focus on when this does happen, it's not my fault, I'm not to blame, and now I can learn how to change it up. So I was up to my second infographic on it, because it's not an easy concept to put into an infographic. But then on Saturday, I began having conversation in the group with another lady about our inner critic. And I asked for her resource on it because I wanted to read more about it, because it was specifically about abandonment and the lack of nurturing. And as I read, not just that post, I went and read more. I went, oh my goodness, this is a post with exactly what we need to know. So I'm in the process of changing the infographics around. Instead of into a sequence, I'm putting them into one nice one for us all. So the other workbook's just about ready. It's coming. It'll be here. But I am going to include this information in each workbook. So if you've purchased previous workbooks, every time I add information to them, you will get a free up. It'll send you a free upgrade of extra information as well. This is vital information, because it shows how when we've experienced a lack of nurturing in our life. Now, I'm not talking just about specific events that you can point to that you can say, this is traumatic. I'm talking about events in life that the adults at the time would have said, oh, they'll be fine because they're with so-and-so. But to us, and we cannot even know it, it has been built into our inner, it's built into our internal system, our whole nervous system, this freeze response. And I know this because it took me years to discover what on earth was driving this severe anxiety inside of me. And it wasn't until I had a massive experience with healing that I came to understand how traumatic it is for a 4-year-old. I was 4 at the time. My parents split up. I had a younger brother who I was highly responsible for. And all of a sudden, overnight, my family disappeared. So at 4 years of age, I had no idea where my mum and dad were. I had no idea where my brother was. I was with my favourite grandparents, but I still have a very big memory of standing at the front door looking for my mum. And back in those days, nobody talked about how you felt. And I would stand at that door every day for hours just looking and waiting for my mum, and no one would say a word. Now, in me, in that 4-year-old child, without the language to put around it, without anyone talking about it, it wired my internal system into such a way that when I was 15 and my brother and I went to live with my dad, we didn't tell our mum we were going. I wanted my mum to come and get me, and my mum knew that I never wanted to live with my dad. I went to help my brother, uber responsible sister, and 3 months into my mum not coming and getting me, I started to have epileptic seizures, and nobody knew why. And now I look back on it and I can understand exactly why. And then what happens is our internal system, our nervous system, which goes right up through our brain, right down through our body, our gut, our heart, absolutely packed it in and froze, and I've been on freeze mode ever since. However, the good news is I'd already signed up for a polyvagal theory course, which is today, and I went, I can do this. I'm going to find out for all of us how we can do this and get off this permanent freeze mode that not only makes us unwell, but also when we deal with it, we can absolutely reclaim our life and our health back. One of the books over the years, sorry, I know we're on Inner Critic, but this is really important information for all of us to understand. Those adults didn't know what they were doing at the time, and it's been something that's held in my body internally for so long, and it has impacted decisions that I've made over time. Now, this book is called, I don't know if you can see it, Your Body's Telling You Love Yourself. And the lady's name, if we can see that, Lise Bourbeau. So LiseBourbeau. Now, this book has been around for decades now, and as it says, available in 17 languages. Not only does it go into the cause of what's happening in your body, so just for argument's sake, say I had, well, let's look at, it'll list what the disorders are in our body. It goes through what the mental block is, what the emotional block is, and right down to you giving you the instructions of how to discern the spiritual block, okay, or what's happening at a soul level. I've used it for years, love it. And it helps give us the door, it opens the door for us to be able to reflect what's happening for us internally. Now, having explained all of that, I want you to put those building blocks into what we're going to talk to about the inner critic, and now I'll just share with you why I was laughing, because I was just in the middle of all that. Ali says to me, just connected you to TV, Linda, now you're in the room with me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, no, that's just just the thought of it appeared in my mind. I was like, no, you don't need me that large in your life. Sorry, that's my sense of humour, girls. Okay, so we want to look at the inner critic checklist in order that we can feel safe to begin listening to the automatic thoughts that happen in our day-to-day life. All right, now if you've experienced adverse childhood experiences, I want you to be very clear about this one. Perfectionist. All right, the perfectionist believes if it can always make you do the perfect, best and right thing, you will avoid criticism, judgment and rejection from others. And it often results in paralysis and or procrastination. Go watch the procrastination video I did specific for complex Ptsd, because it's a bit different than just the average procrastination. It's trying to protect us from the criticism of others. But meanwhile, it's criticism. You two are funny this morning. I'll share with you one. Rachel, who's Ali's daughter, just said, I walked in and went, oh, hello, Linda. Oh, that's funny. You two are cracking me up this morning. You really shouldn't have me on TV. Might be a bit scary. No, I'm kidding. Okay. All right. So the perfectionist inner critic is trying to protect us from the criticism of others, but the dynamic is it's criticizing us. Like, not fair. No, we're not playing ball with the perfectionist inner critic anymore. So do some good affirmations and give yourself the permission to relax, that you don't have to be perfect, that life's messy. It's a beautiful mess. And when we do it all together, like we're doing this morning, we are able to go, okay, not only what can I learn from this mess, but can I just get down in the mud and enjoy it and have a good laugh for a change, okay? Because we're not beating ourselves up anymore. Now, the inner critic, which is called a molder, okay, it's got nothing to do with mouldy, as in mouldy stuff that grows on your shower. It's mold, as in M-O-L-D, moulding, clay moulding. Tries to mould us into a particular way of being. So it's similar to the perfectionist inner critic. It also believes that if you can just appear, think, and do things in the correct or normal way, you will be safe. This inner critic thinks it's setting you up so that you will belong and be safe with other people. Yeah, no, that gets us in so much trouble as we go through life if we listen to that one. And I've had that one, because what happens is, especially in adult relationships, if you've got a molder inner critic, is we begin to believe that if I just be who that person wants me to be, not only will I be safe, but everything will be good. You know what? It's the worst thing that ever happens to us, because we end up so unhappy on the inside. Let's kick those automatic thoughts to the curb. Let's do this, girls. Okay, guilt tripper. This inner critic is heard from our primary caregiver when we're young. The messages will tell us that we are bad, you don't deserve good things, and is trying to protect us from rejection. And it means it's like a self-perpetuating myth that keeps happening, that if we don't get good things, then the inner critic was right, we didn't deserve them. So for this one, we're going to have to go, right, I do deserve good things. And we're going to make some affirmations around that. Actually, if you've got this inner critic, just take a moment and go, how can I feel deep in my heart that I really do deserve good things? And it doesn't even have to be about anything we buy, but good people, good situations, a good work environment. We just deserve good things in our life. That's how we're going to combat that inner critic, okay? Controller, the inner critic who is controller, is similar to the guilt tripper, okay, because it makes you feel bad about who you are and your small everyday choices. It often gives you the message you're disgusting. It thinks it will help you to be accepted and loved by other people. Feel like having one of those buzzers, nah, this is not going to happen, okay? I can just see this, like, written across so many lives, and definitely I can see parts of mine where I've given myself such a hard time. Well, the automatic thoughts start with it, and it's just not the truth about who we are at our core. So we need to kick that one to the curb, okay? Not just with affirmations with this one, but one of the best things I ever did, and this is back in the days when I still couldn't really talk much, is I made a decision to start listening to people who were kind to me and said thank you. This is back in the days when I used to be in a really massive secret abuse group and help women with the situations they were in day-to-day life. And I could just use the keyboard to talk, and look, I started believing them, because believing all the criticism that happened internally and from everyone, well, not everyone, from certain people around me, I just went, well, that hasn't worked for me. So let's try, but start believing the kindness that is happening around you. Best decision I ever made, honestly, because we get the choice to build ourselves up. And I'm not talking about with ego, I'm talking about from the heart, with kindness and compassion, all right? And having a real passion for being compassionate and gentle and soft with ourselves at a heart level, right? At the heart level, stuff combats the stuff that happens automatically in our brain. Okay, an underminer attempts to protect you as the guilt tripper inner critic does, but it specifically tries to keep you from trying new things, advancing in life, and following your dreams. Attempts to keep you from taking risks, which might result in failure and could bring criticism, judgment, and rejection. And I can tell you now, taking risks is the best thing I ever did, and taking a risk is putting, for us with crippling anxiety, taking a risk can be as simple as stepping outside the front door. I had a client a few years ago who couldn't even get out the front door, and it was the biggest thing of them to risk listening to me, trusting me, and taking that step outside the front door, and it was the best thing she ever did. And these are the type of risks that I'm talking about. So it's being willing to say, I can see that I need someone else in my life to help me with a different angle of what's happening for me, and seeking out that person that can help. It can be, like I said, stepping out the front door. It can be saying, look, I can't do this on my own just yet. Can you help me? But I know that once I have that experience that I'm safe to do this, I will be able to do it on my own. All right? Those are the type of risks that with complex PTSD we need to be looking at. Not risks of, I'm going up into space. Yeah, no, you wouldn't get me out the front door for that one either. No, Linda says, no, we're not going to space, okay? But so don't think of risks as big things. Think of risks that build confidence and courage back into our heart, which we have in abundance inside of us. We just haven't experienced a lot of it yet, okay? The taskmaster pushes you to always work harder. It doesn't want you to rest or take time for yourself. It thinks that if it didn't continually push you to work, that you would always play and wouldn't be able to get anything done. I have to be so aware of this so that I don't stay up all night at my work. And it's hard because I love my work. But I have to be aware that I've got to build that balance into my life. That's the example. What can we do to work towards getting over it? Time management, okay? We've got to start getting real about how we allot our time during the day. One of the best things ever taught to me by a specialist was that our focus is maximised in 2-hour intervals. So after 2 hours, you need to get up and even have 15 minutes off and go walk around, do something that you enjoy. Usually, if I've been at it for 2 hours or 3, I'll have half an hour off and go and do something I enjoy, whether it's make a coffee and watch some Netflix or read a book or writing or go outside or, go for a drive, whatever it is. I go make sure I have that break so that my mind is fresh and focused. Diana said, inner critic is fear-based. I see it so clearly, thank you. My mum was my outside rustic based in fear. I think what you're saying is that's where you got it from. And that's okay too, if you can recognise it. Your mum was your inner critic. Yeah, mums have a really big role in our life. And even if our mums don't talk a lot, it leaves a lot of open space because there's no affirming, and we need that affirming. Things like, I'm proud of you. And it builds us up internally, and so we can overcome it by saying, I'm proud of what I'm doing and how far I've come on this journey. And it's something that I'm still reminding myself to say to myself, I'm proud of you. I mean, at one stage, going up and down the hallway 4 times was my first real clarity moment where I was able to go, I'm going to make this. I didn't know how many years it'd take, but I just knew that if I could do it 4 times in a day, I'm going to make this. All right, I will get well. So it really is important that we address that. And our last one for today, the destroyer inner critic. The harshest of all the types of inner critics tells you you don't have a right to even exist. It believes that it will be less painful if it destroys you and your inner weak child, so that you don't experience the rejection and abandonment from others that it believes is inevitable. And that is just diabolical when you think about it. And I want to encourage you that not only are you worth it, you are valuable, you are priceless beyond measure. And no one has a right to take that understanding or that gift away from you. I know that's a lot to understand this morning. Just take one, just work on one. And at the end of each day, actually, I have a little thing for you this morning. Just let me find it on this vast desktop. I want to get you the right one first. Okay. Now, even though this is to do with attachment disorder, okay, let me make this bigger for you. These are 4 journal prompts. Now, I will put this meme down below in the Facebook, on the Facebook page link under this video, so that you don't have to run and write it all down now. It'll be up straight after the broadcast. These are 4 nightly journaling prompts that you can do and start doing every single night to help build your inner awareness. And it's really good because it will connect your prefrontal cortex, your primordial, hang on, that's the wrong word, anyhow. Your medial, that's it, that's what I'm looking for, medial prefrontal cortex into your emotional, your amygdala, right? So that's a big way of saying it'll get you into your heart center so that you can begin to gain a greater awareness of what's happening there for you. So use these to help heal, especially the last inner critic. Did I avoid healthy connection with someone else today? What did not work well for me today? What did work well for me today? What would I like to try differently tomorrow? Now, I want you to build into yourself this awareness each night, and I want you also to include a nightly habit of breathing for 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out for 1 minute. So that's 6 breaths in, 6 breaths out. Obviously, in, out, in, out. Don't hold it for, anyhow, 30 seconds. To develop an internal awareness and slow down our nervous system. All right, it will help us self-reflect. Really important stuff. I actually have, I haven't got one here, but I have an A4 hardcover journal. I should put sparkling pink A4 ones out. Nah, I kid. And every night I journal. I haven't been doing those specific questions, but I'm going to now. When the meme's up down below, you can copy it onto your phone. Let me show you. So copy it into your phone, and that way when you go to bed, because if we're all honest, our phone's really handy when we go to bed, you'll have your journal prompts. Either that or write them into the front of your journal, which is what I'm going to do because I don't want to take my phone in there anymore. It's a bad habit. So that you've got them ready every night. So we prepare ourselves in order that it's there and it doesn't become too much of a hassle. But as I said, I have A4 hardcover ones of these because I write a lot. But the hardcover is because it's easier to write on them when I'm in bed. And I have done this for decades now. And it is so beneficial to have the download before we go to bed because it actually helps us go to sleep. It's like having the download and then we examine what's happened in our day, what we want to change, etc. And then we go, right, I can rest because I've already pre-planned what I want to do tomorrow, as in what I want to change, what I want to change up, and how I want to go about having my day tomorrow from the inner journey reflection. Okay, and it's really, really important. Really important. Okay, I know we've covered a lot this morning, but I will put that one down below for you ASAP. If you have any more questions, feel welcome to ask and or connect with each other and have a chat about it, and we'll go from there. And all this week we're going to be doing inner work stuff, so we are going to explore the inner critic. We just did the inner critic, inner child work as well, and there will be more inner stuff as we go throughout the week. And can you give me name of book and author again, please? Yes, I can, Miss Ali. All right. It's Your Body's Telling You Love Yourself. And it's by Lise, Lise Bourbeau, Bourbeau. And I will actually get a copy of the cover and I will put it down below as well. I'm in the middle of setting all this up on my website as well, so that you can just go and buy books straight away and make it easy for you. But time, I need to do some time traveling and add some time or something. But I will find a link for you as well to make it easier, because I know how challenging the internet can be to find these things. And look, I actually gave my first copy away and thought, oh, I don't need this. And it was the worst thing I ever did, because there came a time when I just needed it. And I always have it handy with clients as well, because it just gives us some insight to what's happening when there's bodily stuff happening. And as I said, it helps us get down into the soul level, the spiritual level, and really be able to observe what's happening for us individually. And if we can gain a greater, deeper understanding of what's happening for us, bargain, absolute bargain, because then we can go, right, this is where I need to adjust, this is where I want to fine tune, etc. All right, ladies, thank you for joining in this morning. It's been beautiful to have you with me, and it's a bit scary being on a screen the size of a TV, but yeah, I'll just put that to one side in my mind, and have a most gorgeous evening and sweet dreams for all of you in the Northern Hemisphere, and all of us in the Southern Hemisphere have the most wonderful, wonderful day. Okay, bye for now.